Let's go into the matter of decongesting our cities. It's as though the mayors, when they are given the position, their first move is to decongest. I'll start with you, the engineer, on this, because I'm sure you have some interest in development and planning and the importance of it. But we sit back and allow these things to fester. It goes into a community, and now we spend taxpayers' money to embark on such exercises. I am worried about this. I don't know about you.
You know, there's this funny saying that Ghana is a crime scene. And we all laugh about it.
Right.
But seriously, if you sit back and look at it, Ghana is a crime scene. And almost all government institutions have become the crime bosses. When this topic was moved, I deliberately went for this building regulations, 2022, LI 2465. What I see the MCs doing or the district assemblies doing is simply covering up for their failures. Because if you look at this law carefully, it determines how permits should be given, how things should be regulated to prevent, one, flooding. But a lot of people don't recognize this. So when the floods happen and things happen, then on an annual basis we come out. Let's look at LI 57. It says site coverage of building. And then it says that a developer shall not erect a dwelling house on a site of an area smaller than 50 square meters in accordance with section 5.57 of part 5 of Ghana Standards 1207 on sizes of plots of land of dwelling houses. So one, it tells you that within a certain space, you cannot put up a structure there. If it's 50 square meters, you cannot put up a structure in that space. Then two goes on to say, a dwelling house together with the outbuilding of the dwelling house shall not cover an area of the plot greater than the following, which states that if you have a plot of 100 by 100, it says that you cannot cover all of it. So now it gives you specifics. It says that you cannot cover 50% of the plot for a single-story detached building. So if you have a building which is a single-story detached, you cannot cover more than 50% of the land area. Why is the law proposing this? It states that you must allow rainwater, which is going to come off your roof, to go into the ground. Then it goes on to say 40% of the plot for a 2- and 3-story detached building. 40%. So it gives the percentages for every kind of building that you can think about. Now let's go to East Legon. Let's go to Airport Residential. Let's go to all these posh places first and find out whether they are complying with this law. But we find it easy to deal with people who are poor people. Let's go and drive them out. The people who have built kiosks, let's drive them out. But the people who are putting up these huge structures, where you go and 100% of the place is paved, where does that runoff water go? So these are the real questions that we need to be asking of the municipal assemblies. So when my friend says that they do not have capacity, that is the opportunity we should use to create jobs. Because if you look into this law again, it talks about building inspectors and the capacity they must have to do a certain work to enforce these laws. How much effort have we put into ensuring that we have proper building inspectors in this country to ensure that this law is enforced? We don't. We come into office and we go and create a year employment for young people. All manner of fancy things that are not sustainable. But if you look in this law, again, let me tell process of application. Let's look at it specifically. It says building inspectors. It says that one, let me just give you a typical example. It says database of built environment professionals, the regulation 29. It says a district assembly shall create a database of accredited built environment professionals who wish to operate within the jurisdiction of the district assembly. Have any of the assemblies created this? No. So a government comes in and all we do is run around and say, we must create jobs for them. Look, when this government came, what did they do? Quickly, we are going to have a team, a committee to walk around and check that there will be no flooding. What have we asked, demands have we made on the district chief executives in terms of enforcing these regulations so that there's a permanent solution to what we see? But we don't. Then it says that the district assembly shall publish the database specified in sub-regulation 1. When you have created a list of professionals, publish it. And then they are the people who assist you to enforce part of this law and the building regulation. But we don't do this. So for me, there are existing laws in Ghana to regulate and prevent largely the issue of flooding. But we don't enforce any laws. And then we make a show of law enforcement when floods happen. For me, that is not the way to approach it. Recently, there's been some clip circulating of a 1960 newspaper where the same heading, Accra floods. This is all there. So 60-something years on, Accra still floods because Accra's topography is known from an engineering point. Accra is largely flat. Accra is largely flat. So if you don't enforce major building regulations, you cannot improve your situation or you cannot manage it. So we know that people are building in waterways. Lands where people should not be built, people have occupied it. And yet we look on. The assemblies grant permits.
Yeah.
And when people build, then they come back and say, we are going to do. Look, when it has to deal with political people and people with influence within our society, nobody touches them.
Yeah.
Go to Achimota School, the Achimota Forest. Who are the people who are taking the land there? Against regulations. And yet nobody deals with them. But we find it easy to deal with the poor people on the streets and go and chase them out. I have no problem if we deal with the people who are of influence within the society. Then we can begin to instill discipline among other people. But when we allow everybody else to go haywire, and then we are only being selective in the application of law, it doesn't help this country. Good, because like I said earlier on, the saying that Ghana is a crime scene is evident everywhere. Look, we live in a country where the use of motorbikes for commercial activity is prohibited under LI 2180. And yet, you have a party that is campaigning to come into office saying that we will legalize it.
So they will amend the law.
Yeah, no, but the point is, and then the government in power does not enforce the law. You understand? We need to be careful. We have enough laws to govern activities in this country.
Right.
But we like to make showmanship. That doesn't help us. Look, we are talking about development of estates and properties in this country. One, we need to ensure that if we control development such that things do not go bad. If we don't, this country is going down. The fact that you have a posh building doesn't mean that you have development.
Right.
Because these are the runoffs that are happening. And it's impacting. Then drains are not being resized. All manner of things. So Accra, for me, we need to look at, and we are exporting this disorderliness round the country. The district assembly don't have capacity, but every year when governments come, they multiply the inefficiencies of district assembly by creating more district assemblies. I mean, what are we doing to ourselves? We create more regions to no benefit. So we need to look at our laws and ensure that the people we appoint as district chief executives are competent and that the districts are being held liable for the things that they don't do right. But if we simply just do this showmanship of every year, when it rains, then we go out, then not more everybody display and say, oh, we are solving the problem, nothing is going to happen.